Penguin Random House Audio presents The Seven Wonders of the Ancient World, an extraordinary new journey through history's greatest treasures. Written and read for you by Bettany Hughes.
Preface. Wonder. Old English. A marvellous thing. Miracle. Object of astonishment. In 1303 CE, a monstrous earthquake ripped through the eastern Mediterranean. The trauma shook glittering casing stones loose from the Great Pyramid at Giza in Egypt, the most ancient of our seven wonders, and brought the remains of the youngest, the towering Pharos Lighthouse of Alexandria, crashing to the ground. The Great Pyramid embodied enormous effort for the sake of one virtually omnipotent man. Alexandria's Pharos Lighthouse had been a public beacon to keep travellers from 4 continents safe and to announce a repository of all the knowledge that was possible for humankind to know. But across that complex arc of experience, spanning nearly 4,000 years, from the vision of a single almighty human to a network of human minds, no human-made wonder could prove a match for the might of Mother Earth. The seven wonders of the ancient world were staggeringly audacious impositions on our planet, incarnations of the beautiful, mournful, axiomatic truth of our species that we're compelled to make the world in our image and to modify it to our will. They were also brilliant adventures of the mind, test cases of the reaches of human imagination. This book walks through the landscapes of both ancient and modern time, a journey whose purpose is to ask why we wonder, why we create, why we choose to remember the wonder of others. I've travelled as the ancients did, by land and sea, to explore traces of the wonders themselves and the traces they've left in history. My aim has been to discover what the seven wonders of the ancient world meant to them, to our relatives across time, and what they do and can mean to us. The word wonder is pliable. Wonder is both a phenomenon and a process. Wonders are potent because wondering helps us to realise that the world is bigger than ourselves. The wonderful generates interest and frequently empathy, and that interest and empathy nourishes connection. We process and internalise these connections. Intellectually and emotionally, via the physical process of thought, we realise we are, truly, one world. So we seek wonders, natural, man-made, philosophical, scientific, whether they're near or far, as a socialising act. How then do we collectively decide what is wonderful? One time-honoured way is to create wonder lists. There have been many wonders at many times. There are wonders of the ancient, the modern, the engineered, and the natural worlds. At the last count, 70 monuments have been officially claimed as catalogued wonders of history. There's now a vogue for the nationalism of wonders. The seven wonders of everywhere, from Azerbaijan to Zimbabwe, from Canada to Colombia. Spiritual too, the seven wonders of the Buddhist, Islamic, Hindu and Christian faiths have all been eagerly gathered together. But there was one international wonder selection which seems to have formed a blueprint for all others. The discovery and indeed survival of this fragmentary alpha to omega inventory is close to miraculous. Compiled in the 2nd century BCE, the earliest extant recording of a Seven Wonders of the World compendium was found on a scrap of papyrus used to wrap an ancient Egyptian mummified body. This mummification wrapping, cartonnage, was itself discovered in an excavation at Abu Sir el-Melek in central Egypt. Close to modern-day Beni Suef, Abu Sir el-Melek is a Nile river city which was once an ancient capital of Upper Egypt and which has endured as a stolid commercial centre, manufacturing linen and carpets. If one sails down the Nile today, the flourishing settlement announces its presence via a cement factory. From afar, clouds of cement dust, somewhat ironically, reveal the Nile waters and desert all around with the appearance of a romantic late 18th century watercolour. The ancient city, called Se-Hut-Nen-Nesut by the Egyptians, known as Nes in Coptic, and renamed Heracleopolis Magna by Greeks and Romans, enjoyed its own prosperity, a place that was rich in both lives and afterlives. The many burials on the Nile's sandbank shores here privileged a cult of the ancient Egyptian god of life and death, of fertility and immortality, the god named Osiris. The hero gods, Herishef, ruler of the riverbanks, and Herisfit, he who is over strength, were also adored here. The latter a figure associated by Egypt's Greek rulers of the Hellenistic age with their own hero, Heracles. And wrapping up one of the thousands of entombed humans found at Abusir al-Malek in the form of mummification material inked onto flat reed paper was that earliest, extant wonder list. Now known as the Berlin Papyrus 13044, the Laterculi Alexandrini was created over 2,200 years ago. The Laterculi Alexandrini, the name Laterculus was used from late antiquity onwards to denote an inscribed tablet or a stone publishing information in a list or calendar form, is a fragmentary list of many lists, not just of the 7 wonders of the world, but a cornucopia of sevens. The 7 most important islands, the 7 most beautiful rivers, the 7 highest mountains, the 7 best artists, the catalogue continues. A kind of vital, ancient who's who, if you like, or antiquities BuzzFeed. Almost certainly written in the city of Alexandria, the Laterculi Alexandrini papyrus comes from a time and a place with immense confidence. The warrior king, Alexander the Great, the ultimate colonizer, who rose up from Macedonia to seize lands from Egypt to India, desiring an empire that stretched further from the edge of the Atlantic to China, had prematurely died while effecting his world takeover, and his vast territories were being divvied up by his generals, once loyal, but now bickering amongst themselves. The original 7 Wonders list was therefore a product of the Hellenistic age, that baggy epoch spanning the death of Alexander the Great, Alexander III of Macedon, in 323 BCE, and the death of Cleopatra of Egypt, Cleopatra VII of the Ptolemies, in Alexandria itself in 30 BCE. This was a time when Greek culture had seeped around the edges of the world and was also being actively forced upon it. So we find prototypes of the palaces, temples and tombs from Alexander's birthplace at Pella in northern Greece also turning up in exact mathematical replicas from Sudan in Africa to Sogdia, an ancient civilization ranging across modern-day Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan, Tajikistan, Kazakhstan and Kyrgyzstan. The great Buddhist kings of what is now Nepal and northern India, such as Ashoka, left inscriptions of Buddhist philosophy outside towns like Kandahar, named for Alexander, in modern-day Afghanistan in a Greek script and language. Homer was quoted in Pakistan, and the tragedies of Sophocles, Aeschylus and Euripides played to audiences in Susa, in modern-day Iran, on the shores of the Caspian Sea, and in Babylon, close to Baghdad, in what is now Iraq. Alexander the Great, responsible for this fervour for Hellenic culture, thought nothing was impossible. His famed exclamation, "The world is not enough," only goes part of the way to encapsulate his appetite and his drive. Insisting on literary, athletic and cultural contests wherever he went, carrying a copy of Homer's Iliad annotated by Aristotle, one of his inspirations was the legendary hero Perseus, a mythological character claimed by Alexander's family as an ancestor, whose life story taught that our greatest fear is of fear itself. in a remarkable Hellenistic tomb at Derveni.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?